Okay, so let's look at another Eternity post on the Korean site. So this one's Anchor Rush Chain Slash Development. So this is about like Chainblades and how those move and work. I'd like to introduce a work that naturally extended a chain using Unreal Control Rig. So in Pleon, you had to cram all the chain-related bones into the character bone and control them directly. And here you can see what all that looks like from their end, like programming that in. But now that we're using Unreal, let's do it like Unreal. So chain weapons can be separated from the character and managed independently. Plus, if you use the control rig that Unreal kindly provides, chain work becomes much easier, so why not use it? So cleaner, more flexible, more Unreal. Controlling the length of the Anchor Rush chain. So this is going to be about like the Anchor Rush skill specifically. And they talk all about how they did this. And here you can see how all this works, so a structure that is usually easy to control in a control rack, and the reality, so you can see the whole process for this, which is kind of cool. It looks like they're using a Kraken leg for this example here. I guess that would move in a similar way to a Chainblade, so it makes sense that they're using that as an example. As above, I figured out that all I had to do was pull it to the target point with the 7 blades and position it. Since there are 7 blades in total, I tried placing the blades one by one from the starting point to the destination. Okay, so like blade 1 going to the target point, this would be whatever you're hitting, the enemy, and you do the same thing for each individual blade. The chain has really stretched to the target position. Sure, there were bugs where each axis was pointing in the wrong direction, but it was still enough to convince me it works. Oh, okay, and you can see what the chain blade looks like here, and then this is what it looks like when it's stretched out. So that work was being done for about 3 weeks after a bit of trial and error. So this is what Anchor Rush looks like in Pleon Engine, sort of. And then this is what it looks like after all this testing. I tried it and it was more natural than I thought. So you can see how smooth that looks. That's really good progress. Still, I was relieved to be able to apply it faster than expected. In fact, the reason it could end so quickly was because the weapon animation system was already implemented. Thanks to that, it was easy to apply because it fit perfectly, and I could focus on increasing the chain without worrying about anything else. For code work, you only need to pass the destination coordinates, and the rest can be done simply like this in the control rig script. Yeah, that's really cool. What if you weren't working with the control rig? Control rig basically takes into account the chain structure and automatically does things like if you turn this bone, the adjacent bone should follow like this, but if you implement it yourself, it's animation hell. It's not impossible to implement chaining without a control rig though, but the difficulty of digging is from software level. Yeah, so this looks like it was a lot of work to do. It's cool to see how this process works. For something as simple as one of the many weapons that we use in Mabinogi for like one of the skills. I mean, this is just talking about Chainblades and mostly Anchor Rush,